Hello everyone. Welcome back to geography class. Previous class we were discussing about the chapter weather and climate. Let's recall. We learnt about precipitation, that is any form of solid or liquid water that forms in the atmosphere and then falls onto the earth's surface is known as precipitation. We learnt different forms of precipitation, that is dew, frost, fog, mist, hail, and snow. How they formed. And then we were discussing about the pressure, the force exerted by a column of air on the earth's surface is known as atmospheric pressure. Today, let's move on to humidity. What is humidity? Humidity is the amount of water vapor present in the atmosphere. Have you ever visited a place that just made you feel hot and sticky the entire time, no matter what you did to cool off? That is due to humidity. For that unpleasant feeling, you have to thank humidity. Humidity is the amount of water vapor in the air. If there is a lot of water vapor in the air, the humidity will be high. The higher the humidity, the wetter it feels outside. On the weather reports, humidity is usually explained as relative humidity. Relative humidity is the amount of water vapor actually in the air, expressed as a percentage of the maximum amount of water vapor the air can hold at the same temperature. When humidity is high, the air is so clogged with water vapor that there is not room for much else. If you sweat when it's humid, it can be hard to cool off because your sweat can't evaporate into the air like it needs of. Humidity is also the element that affect weather and climate. Humidity is the concentration of water vapor present in the air. Water vapor, the gaseous state of water, is generally invisible to the human eyes. Humidity indicates the likelihood for precipitation. What causes humidity? When water evaporates, it rises and disperses into the surrounding air as the gaseous water vapor. Humidity is the presence of water vapor in the atmosphere. The more water evaporates in a given area, the more water vapor rises into the air, and the higher the humidity of that area is. So, usually at night, we feel the temperature is more humid. Why it is like that? The temperature usually drops during the night. The relative humidity is usually higher at night. If the moisture in the air remains unchanged and the temperature rises, the maximum amount of moisture that the air could hold increases. However, the air over arid regions like desert is almost completely dry, even though the temperature is very high. So, this is about humidity. Next is winds. When air moves horizontally, it is called wind. Winds are generated by differences in atmospheric pressure. Wind is formed due to uneven heating of the Earth's surface. These surfaces absorb heat at different rates. For example, sand on a beach can be too hot to walk on while nearby grass feels cool. as the surfaces absorb heat at different rates. The air just above the surface warms and begins to rise. The rising hot air creates a change in pressure in the area. Air naturally moves from the areas of high pressure to low pressure, which causes the horizontal movement of air. Winds are named after the direction from which they blow. For example, the northeast trade wind blows from the northeast. Winds help distribute heat and moisture over large areas. They bring rain to places that lie along the coast and also help moderate the temperature over these places. How do winds bring rain? The air beneath the clouds receives less heat from the sun, so it cools and descends. Air flows from the cool area where pressure is high to the warm area where pressure is low. As the sun hits the ground, warm pockets of air begin to rise. As it rises, the air cools and expands. Water vapor in the air begins to condense. Tiny water droplets form, which are light enough to float in the clouds. So after this, rain is formed. Next is sunshine. The amount of sunshine that a place receives depends primarily on its latitude. So, how it depends on latitude? When the sun's rays strike Earth's surface near the equator, the incoming solar radiation is more direct. At higher latitudes, the angle of solar radiation is smaller, causing energy to be spread over a larger area of the surface and cooler temperature. And tilt of Earth's axis relative to its orbit around the Sun. Let's see how the amount of sunshine that a place receives depends on latitude and Earth's axis. Countries, towns, and cities located around the equator experience hot weather throughout the year. It is because the sun remains almost directly over it every day. Countries that are further north or south of the equator experience a change in seasons when hot weather follows cold weather. This happens because the earth circles around the sun on a tilted axis. So places with seasons spend some of the year nearer to the sun and some of the year further away from it. Latitude and earth's axis are the two factors determine the duration of daylight and the amount of sunlight received at any latitude throughout a year. Isohel is a line on a map connecting points having the same duration of sunshine. The amount of sunshine received is an important element of climate for places that lie in the higher latitudes. So, how latitude plays the role in the climate? Living near the equator. In places near the equator, the sun's rays are almost directly over it, thus keeping temperature high. Living in places with seasons. Countries like United Kingdom and Korea, which are further north and south from the equator, experience a change of 4 seasons. The sun's rays strike these countries at different angles depending on the time of the year because of the way the earth tilts as its orbit around the sun. Living far from the equator. In Antarctica, the sun's rays strike the earth at a very low angle, and this is why the climate here is icy cold. Cloud cover. Do you know how clouds form? Imagine the environment is too hot. Clouds are formed in the sky when moist air ascends, expands, and cools, which is known as evaporation. As a result of cooling, the water vapor condenses into tiny droplets of water. These remain suspended in the air to form clouds. We all observe sky and we see clouds every day. Do we know there are different types of clouds? So, which are the different types of clouds? Cumulonimbus, contrails, cumulus, cirrocumulus, cirrostratus, altostratus, nimbostratus, stratocumulus, stratus, altocumulus, cirrus, and fog. They are the different types of clouds. Let's see what are these. Cumulus. Cumulus clouds are cauliflower shaped clouds with rounded tops. They form at height of 6,000 to 9,000 meter. Cumulonimbus. Cumulonimbus clouds are towering grey storm clouds that cause rainfall accompanied by thunder and lightning. Nimbostratus. Nimbostratus clouds cover the sky by forming a thick grey sheet and cause light but continuous rainfall. Altostratus clouds are mid level clouds that cover the sky in a thin sheet. The sun can be seen through them. The word alto means mid level. Next is cirrus clouds. Cirrus clouds form 6,000 to 12,000 meter above the ground. They are wispy and feathery in appearance and are largely composed of ice crystals. They are clear weather clouds and do not cause rainfall. So these are all the different types of clouds. Cloud cover is measured in eighths or octas. So 2 by 8 octa will mean that a quarter of the sky is covered by clouds. And 8 by 8 octa would mean a completely overcast sky. Clouds block sunshine and thereby affect the weather. So these are all the elements which affects weather and climate. Next class, let's learn about weather instruments. The different types of instrument which is used to measure weather. Refer textbook. See you in the next class. Thank you.